and we would like to see that our voices are being heard. We actually had to have a community walk to highlight these issues in this area because we weren't being heard. And sometimes we have to actually go that extra step because we're not respected. And we would like to see that change. And until that is changed, then we will actually have some, because we would like to support you, and we would like to also have your support, because it's two-way.
Well, I will commit two things to you that you've raised. The first is if there's a benefit to be derived from us coming back and having a meeting with you that we can hopefully have as a constructive discussion of all of these different issues, I'm quite happy to come back and do that, and do it without it being a big media event, but just come back and have a discussion with whatever group you want to assemble to discuss these issues. And the second thing I will do is pledge to you that I will have the Housing Corporation take a look at what has been expended, because you implied that even the work that's being done now on the balconies and the outside of the building, there's some question on the accountability of that. I would not be familiar with that. Obviously, I would like to hope that the Housing Corporation and the contractors are doing a good job and value for money, but I will pledge to you to get them to report to me on that and to share that report with you so that you have what they have to say about that. Yeah. I mean, certainly I will tell you, I saw upstairs a repair that had been made where they took out the whole kitchen of a woman who lives up there, and lo and behold, within months of the repair being done, there were problems again with leaks that were causing mold and so forth. That wasn't necessarily bad work on the part of the contractor. It was the fact that from floors up above, more leaks started to happen and more water started to come down, which really just says you have to do the whole job like they're doing with the outside of the building at once. But I realize you're not talking entirely about repairs. You're talking about much more than that. And I pledged you just now that we will come back and we will sit here with your executive or whatever group you think is appropriate and talk in depth about some of these other issues. But I will also tell you that it is a team effort that we have to have undertaken by all of the governments, because they all have different responsibilities, as you know, to carry out different programs. We have a lot of government in this country, but they all have different responsibilities. And I would maybe see if we can bring with us at that time, because it might be useful to do it all at once, the local MPP and the local MP, so that we can all sit there together and have and maybe people from the Housing Corporation, and have a discussion with you, which I'll undertake to do. Now, if you just let me answer some of their questions, which don't always relate entirely to what I'm standing here talking about. It can be about other subjects, which is part of the job that I have. Now, you had asked about the rain. I had two briefings by telephone, which I've just had in recent hours. First, with respect to the parks, there are two areas of principal concern. The first is the eastern beaches, where a lot of work has been underway, I think, as you know, to basically put in place protections for some of the structures, including the lifeguard stations, which are historic, and try and move out the lake that has formed itself up there temporarily. And I'm confident that a lot of the work that is being done there will protect the beaches. We'll try to make sure that no additional damage is done, but some of that will depend upon the winds, frankly, and whether we have winds, especially those coming from the east. But I'm confident there's a lot of work being done there, a lot of heavy equipment, and you're welcome to come with me when I go to see that in the next hour or so. With respect to the Toronto Island, the situation is slightly more complex. The island, as you know, is really just a sandbar on which we've had various things developed over time, including most particularly a park. And there are some hydroelectric equipment facilities. There are some homes that are close to the edge of the water, and the water is perilously close to some of that housing and some of that electrical equipment. But again, as of this morning, with the help of the Toronto Region Conservation Authority and our city staff, they're in the process of moving excess sand that we had to the island, making sure that sandbags are going to be made up there and are properly deployed to protect the areas that are at risk. And I think, again, that I'm satisfied both, in particular, the TRCA and the Parks Department, but also the Emergency Management Office, which haven't yet been called, but are prepared in the event there's a problem. The Parks Department told me, as I heard reported already on the news this morning, for example, that they're deploying the ferry boat normally used to transport people back and forth to Wards Island. It will be left over on the Wards Island side, so that in the event anybody's forced from their home, homes, they'll at least be able to seek shelter temporarily on that boat, which has washrooms. So they're looking at these basic elements to make sure that we're both taking steps to protect the island and also taking steps to prepare for any event that might occur. We're all keeping our fingers crossed. And I think they're confident that the steps that are taken will protect, in particular, residents in houses from the rainstorms that are expected to come this afternoon.
Are they also concerned about the DEP?
I haven't particularly. I mean, as you know, we've had a chronic problem with flooding on the lower part of Bayview and on the Parkway and on the lower part of Simcoe Street, and that concern has not yet been expressed to me in regards to this particular weather event that's expected in the next couple of days. I'll make inquiries to see, but again, I know that they're watching all of this and all the things that often happen in the face of big rainstorms, and that they're on their guard and on a very careful watch to make sure that all of the city assets and more particularly the city residents are protected from whatever may come our way in terms of the weather.
Mayor Tory, you joked upstairs about that you weren't handing out pamphlets today. Is this a sign that you're dialing back the war of words against the province after they suggested that you were campaigning against them?
I thought it was important today that I should try and deal with the facts.